If you always wanted to track your money in Notion, not just a budget, but a simple way to control expenses and income and track everything by category, group, and activities, travel, business trip, renovation, anything you want to monitor, this is your sign. Today is the day you finally make it simple. This isn't just a template that shows your monthly expenses, monthly income, and the difference. It can show you much more, and it still doesn't take a lot of time. Everything is designed to be set up quickly. I've taken care of that for you. This is my Finance Tracker Pro, and it's come in 3 versions: dollar, euro, no currency version. In this video I'll show you how to use it step by step, using one version as an example, but the logic is the same in all 3. Before we dive in, hi, I'm Volha, and welcome. Let's get started. I've been improving this tracker for over a year. Honestly, it feels like my little baby. I built it for myself first because I needed something that felt fast, clean, and automatic, without turning budgeting into a second job. And once it started working for me, I kept refining it so it would be easy even for complete Notion beginners. The heart of it is formulas and statistics, so you always know where your money goes, without doing extra work. Yes, there are graphs included, but here's the important part. You can fully use this tracker without any charts. That was a big principle for me, because in my personal workspace I use Notion on the free plan, so everything had to work perfectly, even without advanced extras. But since I built this for other people too, I added optional graphs for those who want a more visual dashboard. There are no unnecessary features, no confusing steps, and no "what I'm supposed to click" moments. Everything is designed to be simple, automated, and easy to maintain, so budgeting takes minutes, not hours. Here's what I'll walk you through. First, setup. What to do right after you download the template, so everything works correctly from day one. How to use it from different devices, phone, tablet, and desktop, and want changes in the workflow. Quick tips, small tricks, little features that save time and make the tracker feel effortless. Analytics. How to read your monthly and early results, categories, and key numbers that matter. Alright, you've downloaded the template. What's next? First thing, you'll notice a call-up section called Tutorial Video Contacts. Please don't ignore it. It's short, clear, and explains the key points. You also find this video and my contact there, so you can always rewatch it or message me if you have questions. Step 1. Start on the main page. First, open the main page. If you're on a free plan, you may see the charts are unavailable. In that case, simply delete all chart blocks on the page. It's quick and safe. Most of the analytics in this tracker is built with formulas, not charts, so you'll lose almost nothing. If you're on a Plus plan or higher, you can skip this and go straight to databases. Databases is the most important page in the whole template. It contains the original resources of the template, the databases. Do not delete this page. Otherwise, the template won't work. Inside, you'll see every database used in the system. Everything lives here, so even if you accidentally change a view on the main page or delete a view somewhere else, it's not a disaster. The template will still work as long as this page stays intact. Step 2. Remove the examples. On the database page, find Remove Examples and start using the template. I created specifically so you can delete the simple data quickly. Open it and delete the simple expenses, income, activities, and money transfers. You definitely won't need those. You can also delete or edit the other examples if you want to start from zero, but I'll show a faster method. So for now, I'll keep the rest. Step 3. Set up financial accounts. Go to Financial Accounts and set it up first. In the first view, I left only the most important properties. Just change the account name and the starting balance. Add new accounts if you need them, or delete the ones you don't use. Step 4. Review expense categories and optional groups. Open expense categories and review the categories I created. They work well for me, but you can adjust them to your life. Don't create too many categories. It's easy to get lost. I usually create a category only for things I really want to track later. You can also use groups, optional. I didn't use them for a long time, but eventually I wanted to see totals for things like household utilities as one number. That's why groups exist. Think for a group as a stable macro category, for example, business expenses, utilities, subscriptions, etc. If you set groups, you'll also be able to see analytics by groups. In expense categories, you can also set a monthly spending limit, a number for each category. Later, in analytics, overspending will be highlighted automatically. Step 5. Set up income categories. Next, open income categories and set up your income types. There might be only a few, especially with a fixed salary, but don't forget things like gifts, bonuses, refunds, winnings, and other side income. Optionally, you can also fill in the monthly minimum income property. In the statistic later, if income exceeds this value, it will be highlighted in bold green. If you didn't delete, add, rename expense or income categories, groups don't matter here. Your tracker is now ready to use. If you did change categories, you'll need to update the buttons and templates. Let's do that next. Step 6. Check your expenses page button. Go back to the main page and open expenses. This page includes quick add buttons and different database views. There are two types of buttons. First, categories, auto buttons. These buttons require no setup, even if you added, deleted, renamed categories. It's basically a gallery of categories with a button that creates an expense. This is my favorite method lately because it takes zero time to maintain. Perfect while you are still learning the template or decide what categories you really need. Two small downsides. They're larger than standard Notion buttons because it's gallery view. New expenses will have the same default emoji. You can change it later, but it's not worth spending time on it. Second, manual buttons, classic Notion buttons. If those downsides matter to you, use the classic buttons. But then, if you delete a category, delete the matching button. If you rename a category, rename the button. If you add a category, create a new button. All manual buttons are based on expense templates. Click the small blue arrow next to the new to see the pre-made templates. You can add your own. My typical template setup is set the name, assign the category, add an emoji, and set the day to today. You can also pre-fill an amount if it's always the same, rent, intern, etc. Once templates are ready, you can duplicate an existing button and adjust it. Step 7. Do the same for income. Repeat the same process on the income page. Use auto buttons or set up manual buttons, plus templates if you prefer. That's it, the first setup is complete. You can now start using the tracker. How to use it from different devices. To make your finance tracker truly work and not become something you abandon after a few days, you need to set it up so longer takes seconds in real life. This step is about access and speed. Make sure the tracker is comfortable to use on every device you use daily, not only on your computer, but also on your phone, tablet, and anything else. Inside databases, there is a page called Expenses Income Phone Widget. If you want, you can rename it and keep only Expenses Income. It's a good idea to lock page so you don't accidentally change or move the buttons, but this also depends on the type of buttons you use. If you use classic buttons, it's better to lock the page. If you use gallery-style buttons, the category cards, then you usually don't need to lock it, otherwise those buttons can't become available. Turn this page into a widget on your phone's home screen. If you want to dive deeper into Notion widgets, I have a really clear, detailed video on this. The link will be in the description and in the pop-up. Once the widget is ready, whenever you need to add an expense, you simply open the widget, choose the button you need, tap it, that's it. Then you only enter the amount and optionally change the title or add activity. We'll talk about activities in a minute. Desktop Volha. As I mentioned, you can log from any device, but if you monthly use a computer, I create two pages right at the top of the main page: income and expenses. They're convenient because you have quick buttons on the left and the table on the right, so you can both add new entries fast and review everything immediately. And now my favorite part. You can never have too much analytics. That's why I love tracking activities. What is an activity? It's any event or project that includes different categories of spending during a specific period. For example, a trip, a business trip, a renovation, visiting friends or family, or anything else you want to track as a separate story. To add an activity, open the Activities database or use the Activities section on the main page and create it right there. Set a name, dates, and optionally an activity type. If you have many activities, types help you filter and sort them later. Setup done. After that, whenever an expense belongs to this activity, you just select it. and all calculations and statistics will update automatically. Besides expenses and income, you can also move money between accounts. For example, withdraw cash or transfer from one card to another. For that, use the Money Transfers database or the Money Transfers tab. It's as simple. Create a new entry, set the date, choose from and to accounts, enter the amount, and add a commissions if you have one. If you use transfer often, it may be worth adding a quick button for them to the widget page. So now you are tracking expenses, income, money transfers, and activities. Next, I want to share a couple of quick tips and small tricks that help my family stay consistent with expense tracking for years. We started back in the simple Excel days. Quick tips, small tricks. Tracking expenses and income is something you have to get used to. It's not always easy, especially if you don't have this habit yet. But if you're watching this video, it means you're ready to finally start paying attention to your money. So make it goal to build this habit, especially when it comes to cash, because cash is the easiest thing to lose track of. Don't postpone logging until later. Log the expense immediately, right after you step away from the checkout. Don't rely on memory, and don't rely on saving receipts either. It's not the most reliable system. Here's what truly works for me. With the widget on my phone and the quick buttons, I'll log cash expenses right away. If very rarely Notion is lagging or I have no internet, I keep the receipt in a place where I'll 100% see it later at home, so I won't forget to log it. At the same time, I don't want to overload myself with digital transactions, so expenses and income that happen by card, I log once a month, usually the last day of the month. I open my finance tracker, go to the expenses and income pages, and enter everything for the month. It takes about 10-20 minutes, depends on the situation. And you can choose your own frequency. This way, everything stays under control, while you spend the minimum necessary time to maintain the system. And of course, if you are not doing this alone, share the tracker with the family members you manage and share budget with. If they are beginners, start simple. Ask them to use the phone widget and just log expenses and income. You can show the rest of the setup later. I also have a separate video about how to share a Notion page with other people. I'll leave the link in the description. Alright, now we are ready for my favorite part. And the whole reason this system exists. The analytics. Analytics is everything. If you only log transactions but never reflect on them, then yes, it can feel like a waste of time. And as someone who genuinely loves analytics, I can tell you, you can never have too much of it. As long as it's not analytics for the sake of analytics, but analytics that make you stop and answer real questions. Let's go step by step, starting from the main page. On the main page, you'll see a statistics section. You can collapse it if you want. This section shows your current month. Every month, Notion creates a separate monthly summary page automatically. And all calculations are automatic too. You don't need to set up anything. Here you'll see expense by category and by group, income by category, results by financial account, total monthly expenses, total monthly income, and how much you saved that month. All of this is calculated directly from your expense and income entries. An area summary card is created in a similar way, with the same calculations. It also shows the average per month in brackets. At the bottom, you can see how many months are included. If you need a custom number of months, there is a property at the very bottom where you can enter the number manually. By default, it's set to 0. This is useful if the automatically calculate numbers of month doesn't match the month where you actually enter data. There is also a This Month's Income section that shows not only how much income you received this month and which entries there were, but also a comparison with the previous month. Next, you'll see activities for the current month, if any, and you can always review all activities in the Activities tab. Here you can also see expenses by category for this period and the total, but I also added a per day calculation. This is especially useful for travel because it makes it easy to compare trips of different length and see which ones was actually cheaper per day. If you're on a Plus plan or higher, you also see charts, standard charts for income and expenses this year. A balance chart that shows you total money and the amount in each account, cash, cards, bank accounts, etc. If you're on a free plan, don't worry, at the bottom there are duplicate cards that show the same key numbers, total balance and the balance per account. At the very bottom of the page, there are also two cards showing expenses and income by month. And that is still not all. If you go to databases, you'll find the monthly summary page. Inside it, you can see all monthly cards, compare month, and track progress over time. You'll also find early summary, and it's useful not only once a year, but every month, because it tracks your monthly averages. One more feature. You can make this analytics even easier to read if you set a monthly spending limit in your expense categories. If you go over that limit, the number will be highlighted in bold pink. You can do the same for income. Set a target threshold, and if income is above it, the number will be highlighted in bold green. So that's the whole system. Quick input, formulas do the work, analysis gives you clarity. If you want a finance tracker that feels clean, fast, and actually helps you stay consistent, this is exactly why I built it. Now I'd love to hear from you. Do you enjoy tracking your finances? Or are you just starting to build this habit? And what would you love to see added in a tracker like this? What do you feel is missing? Write in the comments, I read everything. And if you enjoyed this video, please support my work and hit the like button. All template links are in the description. See you in the next video. Bye!